Hey everybody, good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's go ahead and lead the day off with the Pro Football Focus defense video. Usually do Youth Watch Tuesday early, but let's switch things up this week. Let's just get the defense PFF video out of the way because we didn't do it yesterday because I am just behind the eight ball this week, have been for ever since I got sick. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at what Pro Football Focus had to say about the stronger side of the ball on Sunday for the Seahawks, the defense. It's mostly going to be pretty good. I think you guys could guess that based off what happened in the game, although I'll tell you, there are some very odd choices made by Pro Football Focus in this grading. So, as always, I want to remind people, I'm not here to advocate for Pro Football Focus always being right or always being wrong. They do have some objective metrics that I think are really good, but more than anything, I think it's just interesting to look at. Be back in just a few seconds here. Going to tell you guys about Sleeper. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you guys about Sleeper. I'll tell you a little secret as well. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users have enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there's so much more to it. You have live stats, real-time updates of all stats. You have a news feed with lightning-fast updates on players and teams, and a real-time chat where you can engage with other users about plays, performances, games, all kinds of stuff during the sports season. So download Sleeper, experience it for yourself, and don't forget to use my promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit, and pair that with their new promo that will give you a free $20 entry, no deposit needed. So you can use both of those promos. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and going. So check out Sleeper today and use those promos. All right. So looking at the overall grading, just the top line, you've got some relatively expected players at the top here, but some notable absences. You got Big Cat. Okay, he's your top graded guy, 80. But honestly, the fact that we only have one player above an 80, one player above a 79, in fact, is surprising. That was a relatively dominant performance. We held a good Jacksonville team to 12 points at home, less than 275 yards. I don't know what they were looking for. But okay, Eamon Worry was second. I love Eamon Worry, love what he was doing out there, so I'm okay with that. They ding you really hard on the tackling grade when you miss a tackle, though, even though, honestly, like, one missed tackle in a game where you're flying all over the field, I kind of feel like that should be almost glossed over. I really don't understand why they make such a big deal out of one missed tackle. Even two in a game like that, for me, is totally fine. Drake Thomas is next. He is doing some things that I like. I don't know if I think he was our third best defensive player on Sunday, though. That's something I'm not really necessarily siding with here, I gotta be honest. Kobe Bryant, he played good, okay. Ernest Jones bounces back after a miserably graded game last week, so okay. Little something, don't mind that. Ty Okada, really don't agree with that. I thought a lot of the big plays Jacksonville had were on his head. Thought he made a lot of mistakes. And I think this is where PFF just kind of starts to really struggle here with this tackling stuff where, oh, he didn't miss a tackle, so we give him a really high tackle grade, so he gets a high grade. But I feel like that's so insignificant compared to some of the things that Okada did that were bad that I think making a big deal out of, oh, he didn't miss a tackle is like, I don't know, you're missing something there. DeMarcus Lawrence, who I thought was as good as it can be, only a 68 probably because he missed a tackle or two. We'll look in a second here. But DeMarcus Lawrence was destructive and disruptive and everything I ever could want him to be. They're saying he was a little above average. Uchenna Nwosu, 65.9. Okay, I guess. Brandon Peely, 10 snaps. Tyrese Knight, 2 snaps, whatever. Here's the big one, though. Here's the one that's going to get people upset, and I get it. Byron Murphy, a 60.4 in a game where he was absolutely owning the middle, all because I guarantee you it's going to be he missed either one or two tackles. And for some reason, his run defense grade is in the toilet, even though Jacksonville, which has a very good rushing attack, couldn't run the ball on Seattle at all. Sorry. Not buying it. Not buying it whatsoever. Not buying it one bit. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. Even if he was this bad against the run, it shouldn't matter in a game where he's this dominant as a rusher. D'Anthony Bell, Nehemiah Pritchett, 1 snap each. Who cares? Mike Morris, 13 snaps. About average. Sure. Connor O'Toole, 4 snaps. Whatever. Shaq Griffin would be the next guy to highlight here. Not a good grade, which I think is fair, but not an atrocious one either. So, look, he's not good enough to hang with the top line players in the NFL anymore. So, I got to give him love for going out there and trying and finding a way to not be completely terrible out there. I think that one big play he gave up was a miscommunication, which is kind of understandable given that he hasn't been playing. So, yeah, not bad, man. It was good to see Shaq Griffin back in the saddle for a little bit there. Not terrible. Jared Ivey, 3 snaps, so kind of whatever. Boye Mafe was the first of 4 guys that really got kind of punished by the grading. He did do quite a bit of work getting pressure, but they didn't like his run defense, which there was one play that I remember really vividly where he didn't set the edge well, and they also gave him a terrible coverage grade. But I don't know if he played this bad. I don't know if I thought he was a 49.9, but not really advocating for his contract extension at this point, is he? Jaron Reed also pretty bad. This is going to happen from time to time, I think, because he is an older player. Josh Jobe, really bad as well. He's really having a hard time out there right now, I think. And I think there is an argument to be made this team needs to trade for a corner and then maybe rock with Woolen, Witherspoon, and corner X with Jobe coming off the bench for the rest of the year, because Jobe has just proven he can't be relied on in a heavy role. And Darion Kendrick is coming up in last place here, but he only played 2 snaps, so I wouldn't think too hard about that one. 1 second. Sorry about that, guys. Welcome back. So that's the top line stuff. Again, not as good as I would have expected, given how good the game was overall for the defense. I know Jacksonville made a lot of mistakes to keep their point total so low, but still, with all the pressure we got, that alone I feel like should boost this stuff. Run defense stuff, there's not a lot to say because, I mean, we know Jacksonville couldn't really run the ball, but nobody really stands out in an over-the-top way. Like, our highest-graded run defender was probably Ernest Jones, or it was Ernest Jones, and they didn't give him a single run stop the whole game, which I don't know. It's because of all the assisted tackles, so whatever. And Shaq Griffin actually led the team in run stops with 2, tied with Jaron Reed. And Jaron Reed somehow ends up with a very poor run defense grade. And Byron Murphy has a dirt low one, even though he had 1 tackle for a 2-yard gain. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're seeing on these other snaps that is so atrocious that they just feel the need to completely dump on them. Must be really bad, though. Especially in a game where, again, a really good running back, ETN, has been dominant so far this year, did nothing. Did Jacksonville even get 60 yards rushing? I don't think so. And some of the runs they got, a little bit of it, I know, was the Trevor Lawrence scrambling. So somebody's going to have to explain this one to me, because I don't think it can be explained through traditional methods. They must be seeing something they really don't like on these plays where Jacksonville still doesn't get anything going. All right, so run defense stuff aside, I know what you guys want to see. I know what I want to see. It's all about the pass rush this week. This was an absolute backfield party for Seattle. Let's take a look at the numbers here. Although, actually, real quick, let me go back to the first page real quick to look at missed tackle stuff, because I know that this week was actually relatively clean for the Seahawks tackling. And yeah, we have Eamon Warry missing 1 tackle, and somehow he gets completely smacked for it in his grading. Drake Thomas missed 2. D-Law missed 1, Nwosu missed 1, Byron Murphy missed 1, and this is a big reason why these guys get their grades dumped on, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense, especially when you have a swarming defense where a missed tackle is not necessarily a bad thing, because it often sets the guy up to be tackled immediately after, because they had to move in such a way that it sets it up for somebody else. But this is probably just a blind spot at PFF that they haven't completely figured out yet, that it is hard to figure out, admittedly. But anyway, 6 missed tackles in a game where you played like 76 defensive snaps is very good. So pretty happy about that. Okay, pass rush stuff. Sorry to bury the lead a little bit here, But yeah, extraordinary stuff, man. Big Cat with 8 pressures. That's as good a game as he has had since he got to the Seahawks. Byron Murphy had the best game of his career, 7 pressures. Uchenna Nwosu with 5 pressures, including 3, well, he didn't actually have 3 sacks, but he was involved in 3 sacks, whatever. You guys know how PFF does it, where they don't do halves. D-Law, 7 pressures. Even Boye Mafe, who, according to PFF, didn't even have that good of a game, 5 pressures. Like, everybody's getting involved here against a really good Jacksonville offensive line that has protected Trevor Lawrence at a very, very strong rate so far. Eamon Worry, couple of pressures on blitzes. Peely as a nose tackle on 8 snaps, 8 opportunities, getting 2 pressures. They're probably soft pressures, but regardless, you don't expect anything from that guy, really, as a pass rusher. Jaron Reed, Ernest Jones throwing in a little bit. Drake Thomas with the sack. He's been good on the blitz. I mean, it was crazy. Imagine what would have happened if Derek Hall had played. If Derek Hall had played, Trevor Lawrence might still be laying on the turf in Jacksonville. So this was otherworldly, and thank God we had it, because without this, hard to imagine we win that game. And you can see how the grading was also quite good. Although I would say, given how dominant these numbers are, you'd expect a little bit better. You'd expect some 80s and 90s. Like, what does Leonard Williams have to do to get an 80 here? He's got 8 pressures in a game. Like, come on now. Yeah, I don't think much else need be said because it was just that good. Byron Murphy, I know he played some at 3-tech this week, but look at what he can do even when he's still playing a decent number of his snaps as a nose. And Nwosu doesn't even look like he's 100% yet to me, so there's so much good going on in this room right now. And D-Law's not even a pass rusher, guys. D-Law's a run-stopping edge first and foremost, and he's still doing this damage. Really fun player. Okay, coverage stuff. I find this very interesting, right? So, Eamon Worry gets picked on pretty heavily in coverage. Like, we're talking about 8 targets in this game, 7 catches. But he still gets the best coverage grade because it's only 31 yards. 8 targets, 31 yards. So, that kind of goes to what I'm saying here. Yeah, he's giving stuff up. Some of these plays are probably going for first down. Some of these plays are probably setting up easier first downs later. But overall, man, Eamon Worry is not letting anything get behind him. And for a rookie, I think that's really extraordinary. Jacksonville went into this game with a plan to pick on Eamon Worry in coverage. He didn't even allow 4 yards per target. He allowed it was just under 4 yards a target. He had an ADOT, average depth of target, of negative 0.5 yards, so they're not making anything really happen on him. Let's see here. Drake Thomas. This is why Drake Thomas is here, and this is why he's earned a lot of playing time right now. 7 targets, 29 yards. Again, yeah, he's giving stuff up, but not efficiently. We're talking about, again, about 4 yards per target. Ty Okada, they only gave him 1 completion allowed. It was a 17-yarder, so it was a bigger play. But I don't know. This is kind of interesting to me. I would have thought it would have been more. I'm interested to see what PFR says at the end of the week. Pro Football Reference might paint a different picture here. I felt like Okada was giving up more than this. Feels like Okada kind of gets away with some of the stuff he gives up because it's a busted coverage and they put it on someone else's head. I don't know. Kobe Bryant, 2 targets, 1 catch. It was a 22-yarder, so a bigger play, but trending in the right direction overall. Ernest Jones, 4 targets, 29 yards, so not great, but kind of expected from him. He's not a great cover player, and he's not getting completely beat up back there, so that's all you can ask for. Jack Griffin, yeah, 7 targets, 42 yards. Still not terrible, though, honestly. I'm willing to live with that for the most part. I'm not against that. 42 yards on 7 targets on a guy who was on your practice squad. Yeah, sure. No problem. Josh Jobe was definitely the bigger problem of the day, according to PFF. 8 targets, 74 yards on only 5 catches, and I believe he gave up a touchdown. So did Shaq, by the way. So those are your 2 guys that are a problem right now, but those are the guys you kind of expect to be a problem. They are players who are being out there, right, who are being asked to do a lot right now because of the injuries. And once we get some of these players back, you're going to relieve a lot of the stress on those guys, and they should be a lot more capable, or maybe not even on the field at all if this keeps going. Mafe brings up the rear because he allowed one catch for 14 yards, which, I mean, that's kind of the issue with grading, right? You can only grade based on the couple of plays where Mafe is actually in coverage, and he gives up one play for 14 yards, and it's a big problem. When in reality, I don't think that should be a big reflection of who he is as a player, because it doesn't matter that much, right? Like, that doesn't tell you that much about what Mafe did as a player in this game. He had 5 pressures, according to PFF. That's way more valuable than giving up one 14-yard catch in a 60-minute game. I don't know. All right, that's coverage stuff, so nothing too bad. Okay, Josh Jobe was bad. Josh Jobe is definitely bad. I'll say that much, especially because he should have had a pick, and he gave up the touchdown. It's pretty bad. But either he's not going to be out there much longer, or he'll be asked to do a lot less soon, and that should allow him to play a little bit better. Oh my goodness. Yeah, sorry guys. Special teams, there's not a lot to say. Surratt, Mike Morris, Byrd, those were your top performers. I really like Mike Morris on special teams, by the way. He does a lot of good stuff there. And some of the poor performers, Okada, Brady Russell, Halani, Pritchett, mainly those guys. Nothing over the top bad. I guess the penalties are bad, right? Pritchett had one, Russell had another. Those would be the guys that you kind of single out as being like, hey, what are you guys doing? Illegal formation stuff. Has nothing to do with effort. It has to do with focus and execution, but that's about it. All right, that's it for Pro Football Focus on the defense from Sunday's game. See you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon. Hopefully, I feel better soon and we can start churning out the videos at a slightly higher rate. Everyone have a good day. Go Hawks.